Hello everybody, welcome to CW Live. My name's Chris Webb, Head of Communications at the CWU. Delighted to have a really special set of guests with us today as we will talk about the crucial issue of retired members. So I'll stop talking for a second and introduce you to our brilliant set of guests. We've got our National Executive Member, Norman Candy. How you doing, Norman?
I'm good, Chris. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very good. We've also got two other people from our National Committee. We've got John Farnan, former Divisional Rep. How you doing, John?
Very good, mate.
Yeah, good to have you with us. And we've got Sean Ryan, CW legend, and legend of multiple unions. We're going to get onto that, Sean. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, Chris. Yeah.
Good. So it's really important. I mean, we want to talk about the issue of retired members to all three of you because, I mean, obviously, I want to do it from multiple fronts if I can today. Really, we'll just talk about why it's so important that people who are finishing up in work stay in the union first of all, and what the benefits of that are, and how people can still be involved. What can retired members do to continue to support the active members in the campaigns we have as a union? And listen, there's like decades and decades of experience around this table. Well, how can you guys, what message can you give to postal workers, telecom workers who are starting out today, and young union officials who are starting out today? So we're going to have a bit of a wind through a few subjects, if that's all right with you three. I'm going to come to you all, first of all, starting with you, Norman, if I can. Give a bit of background to those watching the show, listening to the show, or whatever format they're taking it in. Tell them when you started, what company you work for, and your rise, if you like it, through the union.
Right. Started in 1976, West Central, WCDO number 1 branch. Became branch secretary in 1981. Branch secretary for about 10 years. Then stood as the sub-divisional rep. Following retirement, or the person who was doing the divisional rep job left, I became the divisional rep in about London divisional rep in about 92. Was there for about 10 years. Went on to the executive, national executive, and the postal executive, and then for the last 5 years until I retired, I was a policy advisor to General Secretary Dave Ward.
Yeah, thank you. And we're going to come back on lots of that as the show goes on. John, tell us about your sort of time in the union.
Yeah, I started in 1978 at Notting Hill Sorting Office. More or less mirrored like what Norman's just said, local rep all the way through to national executive, postal executive. And then when I retired, Jane, God bless her, was kind enough to let me finish by chairing the letters conference in Bournemouth, which was very kind. And it was a question of that being my last, that I believed, my last job in the union. But then I was persuaded by my then branch secretary, Neil Kidwell, who knocked on my door late one evening and said, "You coming for a drink?" And he said, "We've lost the rep for the retired members, will you do it?" About 5 pints later, I signed the form, he had it with him. But to tell you the truth, I don't regret it one bit. It's great to be back involved, and there's so much we can do as a retired members committee.
Spot on, thanks, John. Sean, come on.
Yeah, I started in 1978 at Mount Pleasant. Went through the ranks there as a local rep, and then became branch secretary, or central secretary, as they called it then. Then I became LDC chair. I was LDC chair for 10 years. Then I joined Parcels, and I went on to become regional organiser for London and the South East. Then I went on the executive and the national executive, and then the members asked me to leave. They'd had enough of me. So in 2003 I left, joined the civil service, became a rep for PCS and national officer for admin grades, and then they had rationalisation, as they always do, and then I saw an advert to come into post office counters. So I think I'm probably unique in that I've had a field officer's job in each one of the postal sections. And then, unfortunately, I became ill in 2016 and had to leave. But this game gets in your blood.
It certainly does.
And obviously, I heard about the retired members and I got involved in that. And here I am trying to do a little bit of work for retired members. So that's my story so far.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. Norman, I come back. Wanted to speak about a number of things today, but one of the things, I mean, just strikes me speaking to you three beforehand, and like as you've all opened up there, is the level of experience. The union at the minute is in an in both constituencies. First dispute in BT Group for four decades, an industry-defining dispute in Royal Mail Group last year. The union's in a period where it's rebuilding. I mean, Martin Welsh, who's just been elected Deputy General Secretary Postal, says his whole campaign was we need to rebuild in the workplace, and he was obviously successful with that sort of campaign line. Just, in your experience, having been through so many disputes, and it's one for all of you, I'm going to go to Norman first if I can. These moments come and go. I mean, how important is it that the members stick with the union at this juncture and, themselves step up and get involved?
Well, it's absolutely important. It's I think Tony Benn once said that you never win a dispute and you never lose a dispute. Being a trades unionist, it's a constant struggle to improve the members' terms and conditions, and you get victories and you get knockbacks. The dispute that the union has just been through on both sides of the union, probably one of the most bitterest I've ever seen. I'm seeing that as an outsider.
Yeah.
It was really bitter, and the management tactics were outrageous. But once you've gone through that, you make progress during the dispute. You might not think it's the progress, everything, you don't get everything you want, but you do make progress. And then you got to sort of recover from the strain that the members have been under during that dispute. So it's vitally important that people stick with the union. It's vitally important that people, despite the fact that I can understand that at the moment it might be a bit, for some people a bit, it might be a bit, they might think it's a bit dangerous becoming a rep, because of the campaign that's been waged against rep during this dispute. But believe me, the union will look after you, headquarters will look after you, and if you've got your members behind you, that's what you need to do. And get involved in the union and join with the rest, Martin and everyone else, to build the union back up.
Thanks so much, Sean. I know you've been around a number of disputes, going back a significant period of time. I won't give away your age in saying that, mate. But similar to Norman there, really, the question is these moments can pass as long as collectivism is what comes from it, and as members stick together, we can come through this. So, for example, one of the huge challenges facing the union in Royal Mail is the new terms and conditions for new entrants. Martin, as we'll hear in various interviews that are going out in the next couple of weeks, is doing a lot to try and tackle that head on, but there are challenges that in both constituencies and in the wider trade union movement. But can a union recover from such a bitter spate of disputes?
Absolutely. I mean, you both encapsulated some of the problems that we're going through, and there's change. Change is never easy. But one thing that's a constant is the family that's the union. We all look after one another. No good standing on your own. You stand on your own, you get nowhere. Managers will pick you off, and Norman's absolutely right. It's a difficult time to stand up and be counted to be a rep, but you've got massive support behind you, and I'd say that to anyone considering becoming a representative of this great union, that you'll get all the support that you need. But we have to stand together. We have to come through the bad times, we come together through the good times as well. So long as we stand together, we will make improvements. We saw this in Parsifals going back. It's exactly the same thing. In the early 90s, Parsifals came to us. They said they wanted to start members on different pay. They wanted different terms and conditions, different hours of work. And the way we beat them was by recruiting enough members where we had sufficient voice to say, you're not on, we're not going to accept that, and we've got to work on that, and Martin and others will do that in order to get to where we need to be.
Spot on, Sean. John, I noticed, you obviously saw so many thousands of images from the picket lines last year. I noticed you were out and about on a lot of those picket lines in the branch area. You talked about them. What was the feeling like from the members, and did you like feel proud still, even as a retired member, being out and about supporting all those postal workers, you know, standing up for themselves?
Oh, immensely. I mean, some of our picket lines are brilliant. We had live music. We obviously had the fires, fireworks, you know, food and drink. It was a great atmosphere. People felt good. We had to keep telling them, you know, look, there will be an agreement. As you say, I've been involved in a lot, and there's always an agreement in the end, however long that takes. And we reached an agreement. I think it favoured us in a lot of ways, and getting our reps back, that was crucial. But no, I mean, I think generally the spirit was good. But you saw that at Parliament Green, you know, all them people. So even though there were hard times, I think overall I'd say it was a victory for us. Well, you know, I'm convinced of that, and it's still building on. You know, I should say the stuff Martin's getting involved in now, it seems to be getting better. We're drawing a lot more back to us. And I was speaking to Neil yesterday, our area delivery rep, and he was saying management are starting to get back in with us. That thing about, well, we're not really going to deal with you anymore is gone. You know, we are starting to get back. So, yeah, I think overall the vast majority of our members understand that, and they'll stick with us.
Thanks, John. Norman, one of the obviously consequences of such industry-defining disputes is obviously people move on from the union, or they move on from Royal Mail or BT or whatever their employer is. The union obviously, as evidenced here, has a really active retired members section. Tell people about the work that the retired members section does, and I suppose, you know, for you then, I suppose for Sean and for John as well, why should people and how can people join the retired members section?
Right, well, you know, I think the retired members section works at a number of levels. I mean, the first level is, you know, if you've been in a union all your life for 40 odd years or whatever, or 10 years or whatever, and you need to, you know, you come to your retirement, what I say is when you retire from the job, you don't retire from life. And keeping active and keeping in touch with the people that you work with and you worked alongside for a number of years is very important when you retire, because it's quite easy to sort of like, you know, sit indoors all day doing nothing, but and particularly for people who've been active in the union, you know, they miss that. I know I did, and so it's important that they keep in touch for themselves, but also to become, you know, to remain, as Sean said, part of the family. Some branches have quite an active sort of social part to being a retired members. You know, they have meals and they go out on visits here and there. Others don't. It's more political. But whatever suits you is the right way to do it. So that's the second level. You know, there's the keeping in touch. On the second level, you've got the social side, which is very important. You know, because it keeps you in touch with your old colleagues, etc. And on the third side, and this is the one that we're trying to develop, is the campaigning side. Because it's very, once you retire, if you've got a problem, it's difficult to get it resolved as a retired individual. You've got nowhere to go. You can't go on strike, or you can't, you haven't got a representative. So you've got to have a way of campaigning. At the moment, the big campaign for retired members is a triple lock.
Yeah.
Now I think that's, but we can't go on strike to keep the triple lock. You know, difficult to organise demonstrations for people who are getting on, but you can use your vote in an election. Yeah. You know, and you've got to commit these politicians to keeping to their promises regarding looking after retired people, whether it's the triple lock or whether it's social care. So, it's very important to, I think, the retired member section, and every one of our members now someday is going to retire, and they will see the benefits of it if they get involved.
They will. Sean, aside from bringing up Dave on LBC and making your points regularly, which is always fantastic, what can a retired member be doing to be more involved? Like, they listen to Norman there, he set the case out. There's so many ways that people can continue to access the union, if you like, and enjoy it. But, also, like, trade unionism doesn't have to stop. They, can continue to help the branch, help the members. So what ways can people continue to use their voice?
Well, one of the most important elements, it's the same if you're a member in work or you're what I call a retained member rather than a retired member. We want to retain them members, and the best way to do that is to make sure that we communicate with them. Now, we do have a difficulty because a lot of our members don't have IT kit, or they're like me, they're completely useless when it comes to. So it's important that we.
I'm not having that, Sean, by the way, because you found your way. Yeah, he's found his way to be ringing up LVC, to be tweeting Dave Ward. I'm not having this IT improvisation.
Well, yeah, I found a way. But the central message is there are a number of ways where we can communicate. Now, I do it by letter. A lot of branches, a lot of representatives do it by letter. Norman has pushed very hard, I will give him that, to get the veteran out, so we're communicating. But my branch, for example, have started to look at new ways. Simple thing with a mobile, we've made a video. Norman was starred in it, he was brilliant. He's definitely going to be nominated at some point for a Nobel
for
or
what we
something
don't know.
We don't know quite what yet. But it was three of us sitting in a room, and we set out to members the benefits of retaining their membership. Similarly, our branch has decided that when members get to their 25th year, we've made up a special certificate for them. And we know they're coming to the end of their working time, but we give them a membership form and say these are the benefits of the union. And retired members have got to remember that it's a horrible subject, but one of the benefits of retained membership is the death benefit. Now you equate that, it takes 15 years of membership money to equate to that one benefit that you get. So it's a horrible subject, but it's something that people should take cognizance of, because it's a benefit for them.
Of course it is. And their families as well.
And their families, absolutely. And one of the other things I'd like to say is like to pay tribute to the retired members. I know what it was like in East London when we had the dispute. We've still got, as the union's members are well aware, a lot of fallout from that. But one of the things that kept that picket line going was members of the retired members that were there, who helped throughout that period, as they did throughout the national dispute and every other section of this union. So they can play a part and do play a part, and they should be commended for that.
100%, 100%. John, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, you may or may not recall, when I was elected as a divisional rep, you were still a divisional rep, and you were someone that I did and still do look up to in the union. The way you organised the Anglia division is so impressive. We've got a whole new breed of reps born out of the dispute. I mean, we can sit here all day and pick out, our views on agreements and, settlements and stuff like that. But one thing that's undoubted is there were some stunningly brilliant acts of trade unionism throughout that dispute, with people really coming to the fore. What would your message be to young reps, new reps who are coming through, or perhaps searching for that bit of confidence and unsure of themselves from someone with so much experience?
Yeah, you've got to sort of get as much help as you can. Don't ever feel isolated. You've got your branch, you've got the div reps. There's so many people who can help you. And just on that, I think there should be a much closer link between the retired members and the youth section, because there's a lot of, obviously Tory government, there's other organisations as well that try to, Norman was the person that first brought it up to me, the intergenerational divide. and obviously the government's going to try to divide the two, you know, and but we need to say, look, the problems you've got is not because of elder people, it's because the government, the councils aren't building houses, they're not helping you, you know, and we've got to get rid of that. I mean, we've come through that. I mean, when I go out and about and say to people like, and we all do it, I think maybe we concentrate too much on, you know, how to get people into the union and why people aren't joining. I ask people, why did you stay on as a retired? I'm going to go back to the younger people, but most of them say because I want to be a union member for life.
Yeah.
And them people, you know, we should be very, very proud of them. And yeah, I mean, I was lucky when I first started, because in my office, you probably won't know him, we talked about earlier on, Derek Saunders was my branch secretary. My dad was an active trade unionist. He was branch secretary at Wilson Bus Garage. So I was well inspired. And I think, you know, people like us need to get into these people, you know, and really try to reassure them more than anything, because they're doing it themselves. All we want to do is say to them, you're doing the right thing, maybe we could do something differently. But there is lots of help, maybe there should be more, I don't know. It's very, very difficult. But, you know, I think a lot of them, I've got a lot of confidence, certainly going to conference now and listening to a lot of the youngsters. They're very knowledgeable, very wise, and I think we should have a lot of confidence in them. I don't think we need to worry too much, to be honest with you. It inspires me to see them.
Thanks, John. One of the things to pick up there, the point you mentioned was the connection between the retired members and the young workers section. One of the ideas that we've got in the comms department is like an ongoing podcast, perhaps with like your section and the young workers section, where you could discuss across that sort of generational gap the key issues. I think that'd be really good. Linking me nicely, Norman, to a question for you and everyone really about communication. So when you stood for election, I think, you've been on the NEC, what, 2 years now?
2 years, coming up for 2 years.
Yeah, when you stood for election, I remember you putting out saying, we're going to have a retired members mag. Like, by the way, the comms department has to bear the cost of that. No one just put it in his manifesto.
Oh, I didn't know you.
We'll have a whip round.
Yeah, it's been really successful, isn't it? And we've recently agreed to move it from 3 editions to year to 4, which is great. On the point Sean made as well about, you know, some obviously, which is absolutely true about some of the IT skills amongst the membership. One thing I will say is, I've said this to Norman before, some of our highest engaging members on the CW social media is our retired members. And when you break down the demographics of who's viewing our content, our retired members are really high on that. And obviously, you know, maybe that's to do with maybe having some more time or whatever. And some of the people who share the content as well are amongst higher sharers of retired members as well. But on comms, Norman, specifically, I mean, Sean made the point there, which is really well about, you know, we can't just rely on social media, but we've got the magazine, we've got the Facebook page, we've got the website, we've got the old-fashioned letter writing. What plans do we have on communications? Any new ideas? Anything more you want off us to be helping out?
Right. Well, the Veteran is it's a developing magazine, like more letters from members, letting us know what's going on, and from branches. You know, if they've got a particular issue they want to raise, put a letter in or write an article, maximum 450 words, send it in, and if we don't get it published in the very next edition of the Veteran, I guarantee that at some stage it'll be published in the Veteran, and they can get their arguments across. So, you know, I'm well pleased, and thank you for your assistance of yourself and the comms department for getting that off the ground and developing it. We got the website, and we've got the Facebook page. Now, on the Facebook page, sometimes we get, and you're quite right when you said about the involvement of retired people on that, which is a new technology platform. Sometimes we get 2,000 people going there. On particular issues. I update it every day with articles. This is the Facebook page and the website. I update it every day with articles from the press. I don't censor them. I don't look at what it is. But if there's something about retired members on there, or pensions, or something to do with, the lives of older people, then I put that article on there, and we get quite a few people who follow it on a regular basis and interact with it as well. What I personally would like to get going, and it is difficult. One of the reasons it's difficult is because we've just had such activity around the disputes. Is to build the retired members section into a campaigning group. Rather than just report on what's happening, and be disappointed that we're being attacked over the triple lock, that the government, despite having 9 green papers on social care, haven't introduced anything yet. Rather than doing that, come up with new ideas on how we can influence that. Now the Pensioners Federation, they do quite a bit of work, but it's limited what they can do. We've got to come up with new ideas. One of the things that we can do is we can bombard MPs with letters and emails.
Great on that. I mean, that you said they're contacting MPs. For example, we just saw the Panorama show on Royal Mail in the state of the postal service, and we've seen where Ofcom have come at looking to attack and undermine the universal service obligation. Retired members surely can have a real role to play there and writing to their MP and trying to ensure that the service does not go down the pan.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my blood was boiling when I saw that programme. About how the postal service, which we joined, 40 years ago or whatever, it hasn't been destroyed because we're still in there fighting for it, but has been damaged by the actions of various politicians and political parties. So I mean, that's so very important. But it is, and we're all doing this, not just me, but the Retired Members Committee we're trying to develop ways of campaigning so that we can get retired people and pensioners involved actively in defending themselves and changing things.
Sean, one of the challenges amongst many that the union faces now is a challenge to stay relevant. In a changing world. Norman's just outlined really eloquently there. We merged together, quite a significant time ago with, to create one union across BT Group, Royal Mail Group. Obviously now very extremely proud of that sort of alliance and the union that we are, and the union we've become and always have been. And there's a programme of action and change on the table led by the General Secretary, Dave Ward, to ensure we maintain our position as a standalone CWU, to make sure we're not sort of swallowed up by one of the bigger super-sized unions, if you like, and we remain as an industry-focused trade union. How important is it for you as a retired member to see that the CWU continues to be a standalone trade union and have that independence, and not just for our members but for the wider workers in the UK, we maintain that voice?
No one knows better the problems that retired members face than our own union, than our own leadership. And we have, as Norman referred to, we've got a very good, but it could be better, a link with the political area of the union, which, let's be fair, it's only through politics we're going to change things. People are impacted by politics all the time, be it the triple lock, and we've seen again lately that you see the Telegraph and the usual right-wing press trotting about how they can ill afford pensions and the triple lock and even the state pension now. And we have to be on top of that. And our members, our retired members, and our members coming up to retirement, that's where we're relevant. They will experience those difficulties as well. And we need our union to be able to go forward making the case for our people. There's another thing that we could be doing that I would like the officers to take cognizance of, and the committee have thought about this, is we should be going to the various employers and saying, as you're downsizing, which is unfortunate, there's a lot of kit there, a lot of IT kit, there's a lot of laptops, etc., and even in headquarters, where we could be saying to our retained members who can't afford that kind of kit, there you go. We could be asking the employer to denote that stuff. We could be giving it to our members. It's another source of communication, and it brings us more together. There's that connection there. But the importance of keeping the union, as far as I'm concerned, as a standalone union is nobody understands us better than ourselves. I know that sounds self-evident, but the problems we have are in many ways unique. Yes, all workers face difficulty, all workers have struggle, but we provide a unique service. It's been there since King Henry VIII. It deserves preserving, and we serve the public proudly, and we continue to do so despite the fact that the government and this mob that are now running the Post Office and Royal Mail want to destroy. We're not going to allow that to happen. As long as we're here, we'll defend the service for the public.
Thanks, Sean. Brilliant, buddy. John, I'm a postal worker, telecom worker, engineer, call centre worker on my first day. Now starting the day in a CW recognised industry, or an industry where CW is organising. Why should I join the union?
I'll get the hard one straight away. No, joke. Obviously, there's loads of reasons. Protection, more than anything, how we negotiate. I think that camaraderie can never be forgotten either. You know, we're all part of the same team. We're a family. I know that's overused, a lot of people think, but we're there for them. You know, their terms and conditions. We need to really concentrate sometimes on how non-union businesses are and how much better off we are. So, you know, we've done that. It's very, very hard now, because when I was a branch head, I used to go in when they done their induction and you could sell the union. It's hard now. Yeah. If you need to get direct to them, I think the main thing is protection, collectivism. It's something that I think it's a question that we've always got to ask. What's the best selling point? And I do firmly believe it is the protection, the collectivism, the negotiations, because I don't think there's many, well, we found that out during the dispute, who don't come under the conduct code at some stage, you know what I mean? And we have to sell it on the success we have on a lot of these issues as well. So, yeah, and I think a lot of people don't want to be isolated. They do want to be involved in that collectivism. So, you know, we've got to use all them arguments, mate.
Thanks, John. Spot on, mate. I'll join then, no problem. One question for you, Norman, and I'm going to give you all a minute or so to sum up. And this is like sort of, I suppose, a bit of a personal question. Dave is now our General Secretary. You've worked with Dave, like I think probably his whole career in the trade union. I think he said you're his mentor. How proud are you, or how have you been to see Dave rise to become our General Secretary?
Yeah, I'm immensely proud of him. I mean, you know, I knew from when I first met Dave that he had a talent for organising, for representing people, and for doing deals as well. I might have had different talents. I think I had a talent of taking people out the door. more than negotiating the deal.
You and me both.
But no, and he's done fantastic. I was thinking about this the other day. And I've known every General Secretary since Tom Jackson, and National Officer since that period, since the 70s. And without question, this might sound a bit sycophantic, but Dave is the best General Secretary I've ever come across, in terms of his commitment, in terms of his organising, in terms of his ability to get agreements, in terms of rallying the members round, communicating. Yeah, you know, great communicator. And he's an asset to the union and to the working class. And I mean, I think that Dave's contribution will be recognised in the future as a really important part in the development of our union and the trade union movement in this country. Because he's also influenced politics and the trade union movement at a national level. TUC, Labour Party. So Dave's a great bloke, great friend, and we're lucky to have him as General Secretary.
Thanks. He'll let you come back on the show now. Normally, isn't that? Sean, come to you first for just a minute or so. Any final messages you want to give the members?
Yeah, stick with us. These are very, very difficult times. Generated, I have to say, with an agenda from management that want to destroy our union. One thing that Dave has done that won't be probably remembered for years to come, one thing Dave done, he didn't just take this union, lead us through a dispute, he also saved the union. People have to remember that they want to destroy this organisation, and they were very close to doing so. It wasn't for the tenacity of Dave and others, that would have happened without any question, and we would be in a worse place today if he hadn't done what he did. He is, as Norman said, far and away the best General Secretary the trade union movement has at the moment, without any question. And I know this is not a love-in for Dave, because he's not as good as I was, and he never will be. But
the best General Secretary we never had.
But one final thing I say to members is this is difficult times. These are difficult times, but stick with us. We'll get through it. We've had it all before. We had it in 71. I know the guys will probably remember when we came in 78, the older members never tired of telling us how you sold us out in 71. And yet what they forget is we've got an 18% increase in pay, bigger than anyone else in the next 2 years. We improved the pension. We got our people on the pension committees. We've done an awful lot, and we'll do it again. Just stick with us and be patient.
Spot on, Sean. John, your final words, mate.
Yeah, I think whatever age you are, you should be treated with respect, dignity and opportunity, because that's particularly relevant to elder people. And I think one of the things we haven't covered, well, Norman's touched on it, we're very good at selling the internal stuff, and I think things like the death grant are so important, you know, the social aspects, your free diary, whatever you get from the branch. But the work we do externally with other groups like the National Pension Convention, charities, TUC, Labour Party, etc., the stuff we do, I mean, it's something I'll put to you. It'd be good if you guys could film our next conference, because people don't really understand the work we do in other areas. I mean, things like last year, I mean, dentists, you know, lack of NH dentists and the effect that has on elderly people. You know, the closure of the ticket offices that's now being reversed anyway. But we, in sort of train stations, we cover stuff like that, and I'd really like a lot of the people that are coming up to retirement to see some of the stuff we concentrate on, because I have to say, and I am biased obviously, the knowledge, the experience that we've got in that national committee is absolutely brilliant. And I think, you know, if a lot of people come up to time can see that, so I'll look forward to your cameras at the next conference.
You're as bad as Norman, like forcing me in to do things live on air. Yeah, of course we should do that.
One,
Yeah.
John.
How do you mean, nice one? You're not going to praise him, Sean. Norman, your final words, buddy.
Well, you know, as I said, when you retire, you don't retire. You retire from work, but you don't retire from life. Keep involved in the union. Do what you can. Some people can do a lot. Some people, because of their circumstances, can't do too much. But keeping that membership up is very important, because it will help you in retirement. You know, you get legal advice. Sean and John mentioned about the death benefit that you get. You know, but probably the most important bit is the keeping in touch with people that you used to work with, and people that were your mates.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people say to me, "What's the trade union about?" And it get very complicated when you talk about trade unions. You know, particularly if you come from an academic background. To me, it's simple. It's about sticking with your mates. Your mate gets into trouble, or your mates get into trouble, and you look after them, and they look after you. And by doing that, you improve your life. You make sure they're not bullied and they're not picked on, that sort of stuff. Yeah, and our union is top of the league in terms of that. So everyone's going to retire at some stage. Well, not necessarily. They're going to get old at some stage, and hopefully they're going to retire. Make sure that every branch in the country, in a drawer somewhere, has got a set of forms. Now, again, with the assistance of the comms department, not only have they got the forms, they've got like a booklet which Sean helped to contribute a lot to, like a booklet which tells you the benefits of retaining your membership. When you're coming up to retirement, have a word with your rep, have a word with your branch secretary, and say, "Oh, I'm going at a certain time. Can you make sure I have a form and that booklet that goes with it, or leaflet that goes with it? Because I want to retain my membership in the CWU."
Thank you, Norman. Thank you to all of you. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Hope you three have as well. Really, really good. So that's it from this special episode of CWU Live. Look forward to many, many more features like this one. I think the message was really clear. Make sure you join the CWU. Make sure you get active in the CWU, and make sure you stick with your union.